Welcome back to the Stevens Playbook. I'm Michael.
And I'm Matt.
And today we don't have too much, but we do have something. What's been going on?
Grinding. Still grinding.
What do you mean by
Worked a little bit on got one more slide, half a slide done, half a frame done. It's a it's a complicated process. It's not complicated, it's just tedious. That's really what it is. Just trying to get it perfect.
Yeah, it's a
Then I
lot of
went to
work
the
that goes into it.
yeah. Then I went to the gym.
It's about time. Back on it.
Yeah, okay. But I did play racquetball today because there's this old Asian dude, and he was like, "Come play with me." And I was like, "Are you good?" And he's like, "No, no." And then he left me in the corner crying afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even have to play. You could have just, once he said, I don't know, it's
Yeah,
over.
I'm all right.
It's always the old dudes that are in there that just whoop everybody.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, I did not play racquetball today. I didn't even go to the gym today, but because it's a rest day. But I did do my mile run,
Oh,
my daily.
that's pretty good.
Did it like right before we filmed this. So
I was wondering why I walked outside.
yeah, went outside, did my mile, came back. 7 minutes 46 seconds.
Hmm.
It was good. I also built a timeline for getting these this brand going, so that's useful. And then I summarized my notes from a couple days ago back to Jensen's or the podcast on Jensen from NVIDIA, which by the way, a lot in the news right now. Crazy things happening. New president and all these changes, and the economy's going all kind of different directions. As far as talking about what stocks are going where and what's the big movements. There's a lot of movements, and so I don't know that I'm up to date on all of it, but I've seen some highlights, and it's intriguing. But yeah, back into the book. I took out basically the points that he was talking about, where he was talking about innovation and skepticism. So, innovation, he says, is a necessity, not optional. If you are not innovating, you're not going to survive. And I think I mentioned this previously when we talked about it, but he was talking about the some company that was developing horse-drawn wagons, and then the automobile came around, and then they had to pivot. That was an example. Trends change, time changes, and you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them,
And when to raise.
and know when to run away,
Or when to raise.
when to raise. Next thing he says, be skeptical of trends. He doesn't say avoid trends. He says be skeptical. Just know, question what are other companies doing. If everybody's doing it, it's gonna be hard for you to differentiate yourself because you're doing what everybody's doing. So find ways to do what everybody's not doing. That's what I took from it. Be skeptical of trends.
Yeah.
I think Alex Hormozy was talking about this as far as like AI, and obviously you need AI going into the next century. If you don't have it, you're gonna be left behind. But with that being said, as you see more and more and more AI content, I think people are going to really value that human interaction. So the more that you can put your actual face, your actual voice, actually get involved in communicating with people, I think is going to differentiate yourself as more and more and more content creators are moving to an AI to do all of this.
Yeah, I guess you can use the example of like how like news outlets and news media was popular for such a long time, and then like the individual reporters started gaining traction. Whereas like it became like as far as like trusted news source, like the individual reporter became kind of like a little bit more prevalent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And so that's probably similar to that.
yeah.
Wasn't something what you found out in the news today about individual? influencers
Individual.
going to the White House or something?
Oh yeah, I watched it. Okay, I wouldn't say it was the news. Um, I saw it on Instagram,
Oh,
but
well,
I watched a reel, and it was of like I think it's Secretary of something. I don't even some girl. She was speaking on a stage, and she was saying that in White House press conferences, they're selling seats to creators, podcast hosts, etc. Um, so that's interesting.
that's gonna be us. We're gonna buy those seats and then like do our podcast here with the president in the background talking.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see.
We're
Like,
gonna be like,
hold on.
hold on a second, hold on a second. We're talking over here.
This is a really good point we're making right now, Mr. President. And he'll be like, go on. But next point he says, this Jensen talks about threats coming from the bottom. So he says, pay attention to the low end of the market. Disruptions often start where people least expect it.
I would say that's where most disruptions happen because if you expect it, then you,
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on when you're looking there because I think by the time you see things, they're not really at the bottom anymore.
right.
So you start once you say like you could say like oh this emerging technology I'm expecting it, but by the time you see it it's not at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's an interesting perspective and something to think about, ponder on, perplex your mind over.
We do be perplexing over here.
Yeah, finally he says details matter. He said losing sight of the details leads to losing everything. Innovation requires precision and focus. To quote, I won't even quote him. Innovation requires precision and focus, which we're focused.
We're focused.
We focus on being precise.
I wonder how that would like tie into like the lean startup where you just, in order to innovate, you guys send stuff out first though.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think what it means by precision and focus is like deliberate action on exactly what you're doing. So, um,
It's talking about the actual action of it instead of.
right. So, like in the lean startup, where it's talking about the feedback loop that we've been talking about on repeat, on loop
On
in
loop.
the podcast. Um, you're able to be more precise because you're precise over smaller details each time instead of being precise over like well you wouldn't be precise if it's everything instead of just broadly attacking the whole project
Hmm.
you're attacking each tiny detail with precision so that you can be more precise on those details that you're focused
Yeah,
on.
that makes sense.
So details matter, threats come from the bottom, be skeptical of trends, and innovation is a necessity. It's pretty good podcast for today. A short and sweet.
I like it.
Get you some value, hopefully, if you take it and think about it and get a little bit of updates on what we've been doing. So the needle continues to move.
Yep.